Roppstar gang, what up? What up? Missed you guys. I haven't talked to you guys since last Tuesday. Since the last live stream I had. Been putting out content though, still. Just been doing short content. But one of my viewers requested this to bring out a live stream talking about some off-season things we need to do. Right? We're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about some things we need to do. We're also going to be talking about some free agents that I would like to target. I'm going to talk about maybe some blockbuster trades that we may make. Definitely going to go over the cap space. So we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff, man. And I know I took some time off. Honestly, it's some time off that was needed just because, doing this content 5, days a week, doing it constantly, you can get burned out real quick. If anybody knows that in the content creation world, you can get really burnt out. All right. Especially now, if I was just doing this full time, I probably wouldn't get burnt out as easily. But when you work full time and then you do this as like a little side thing, you know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. So I'm just happy to be with you guys here tonight. Again, as always, I'm your host, Clay Ropp of the Roppstar Report. If the Carolina Panthers and NFL content is your deal, you like that type of stuff, you're in the right place. So make sure you like, subscribe if you're new here. If you're not new here, make sure you like the live stream. Make sure you hit that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on new content. We already got some people in the chat. Got the national championship game on right now. There's definitely some draft prospects on both of these teams that I have been looking at. I've already got 3 guys I've been really watching as of late. We'll maybe talk about them tonight as well. But again, appreciate you guys being here. And without further ado, let's get into this. Trizzy, what's up, man? Appreciate you. Hold on. Why is that color that dark? I don't like that. Let's change that real quick. There we go. Let me look at that now. That's better. That's more like Carolina on there. What's good, Clay? My Carolina family in the chat. What's good, Trizzy? Cyburn, good evening. Luke, I'll play. Clay, I want the linebacker from Jacksonville, Devin Lloyd. Okay, we can talk about Devin Lloyd. Is the new season here yet? No, not yet. You got to wait a whole 8 months? A whole nother 8 months. January, February, March, April, May. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, you got 8 months, my friend. But we got a lot of good off-season content, so we'll be here. We'll be breaking it down. And when I say me, I mean me. All right, guys. So first things first. I want to talk about the 3 most important things that the Carolina Panthers need to do. Okay? The 3 most important things that the Carolina Panthers need to do is number 1, they got to stop lying to themselves about this pass rush, okay? Like the Panthers didn't back into relevance, right? We took the NFC South. We earned a home playoff game. We went toe to toe with the Rams in the wild card. That's a huge step forward for this team. All right. That is the honest to God truth. But there is a cold reality here. Being close still gets your ass sent home in January. See, the problem is you're seeing a lot of head coaches. All right. You're seeing a lot of head coaches getting fired. A lot of it, some of it's a scapegoat. Some of it is guys who are just bad, that should not be head coaches. They should be coordinators at best. Again, there's a stigma in the NFL with everything going on now with these head coaches, right? And again, you're seeing it now. That's why you're getting your ass sent home, right? I mean, but back to the Carolina thing, we proved that we belong in the conversation again. Now the pressure shifts of what they do next, right? This offseason is about hype video. This offseason is going to be about hype videos for me. This is not going to be about patient quotes or pretending to myself that this internal growth will magically just solve everything. Right now, we're in the third year under Dan Morgan. We're going into our third year with Dave Canales as our head coach. We're going into our fourth year with Bryce Young as our quarterback. This is about making grown man roster decisions that actually push this team into that next tier, right? So if we want this team to stop being a feel-good story and we want to start really being a playoff problem in 2026, I've got three things that have to happen. I got three things that have to happen. All right. Shane H says, I don't watch college ball, so I won't vote anyways, though. Okay. All right. What's up, Ungrounded West? What's up, Earl? What do you think about trying to get Max Crosby? I think that is a shot in the dark, my friends. I think trying to get Max Crosby away from that Las Vegas Raiders team is going to be, you're going to have to give up a lot. His market value is way more than what people realize, even at his age, because you're going to be probably getting the last of him, right? I mean, you may sign him for you may get him for, like, Crosby's probably going to be good for the next 3 years, and then that he's going to trickle off. Okay. If you can get the most out of him in those 3 years, great. But after that, it's over with. But you're going to have to give up, I think, more of a value to get him than how much you're going to get out of Max Crosby in those 3 years. Just me personally, I think that I don't see a big trade coming. The only one that I see Carolina really taking a shot at, and one that they can afford because we're going to go over the cap space, is possibly Trey Hendrickson. But again, I think that one's also a shot in the dark. I just think, because again, here's the thing. Every offseason chat, how often do we sit here and say, like, there's that rumor, the T. Higgins thing, another rumor that we heard that Carolina could pursue, right? T. Higgins did not come here. He re-signed with his team. Trey Hendrickson was another rumor. He re-signed with the Bengals because they upped his contract to $30 million. We saw that. I mean, I don't know who I'm missing, anybody else that we've been rumored to. But we're just not gonna get, like, I just can't put all my eggs in one basket, or I can't sit here and tell you guys that I feel cold-heartedly that we're gonna make a move like that. I don't. I think that's the thing. We also have to think about if we watch the press conference with Dan Morgan. They aren't going on a free agent spending bender. They're not, but again, I told you guys, like, Dan Morgan's not just going to sit on his hands. Okay. He's not. He's not going to sit on his hands, okay? He's just not. But here are my three things that have to happen. We have to stop lying to ourselves about this pass rush, okay? We have to stop lying to ourselves about this pass rush, ladies and gentlemen. The pass rush, even though I know that now Ike Ekwonu is injured and is probably going to be out most of the season, you can get some guys. You can re-sign Josh Nijman for a decent contract, right? Right? You can get some guys on a decent contract. You can re-sign Josh Nijman, and I think he could be solid enough to hold down the fort until Ike gets back, right? I've seen a lot of people that think we need to get rid of Ike Ekwonu. I mean, he's improved every single year. Well, people go, well, he gives up too much sacks. He's also going up against the best edge rushers every single week. What do you expect? The left tackle is the one who's protecting the blind side, right? He's going up against the best edge rushers every single week. I mean, what do you expect? And he's doing a pretty damn good job, if you ask me. He's gotten better every single year. I think it's because he's got a great person alongside him in Damian Lewis, who's an absolute dog. We've seen that. But I think we got to stop lying to ourselves that this pass rushing room does not need some upgrade. All right. Like, if we go look at this pass rushing room, right? Let's go look at the roster. Let's go roster. Let's go edge rushers on our team. Okay. Okay, chat. So we look at this edge rushing room, right? I mean, it's not like you've got some rookies, right? In Princely and Nick Scorton. Nick Scorton by far is your best edge rusher on this team. Pretty damn good in coverage, actually, which is crazy to think about. Pretty good coverage. I think also losing Pat Jones was a huge was a huge loss. I thought Pat Jones, when we saw him on the field, did very good against the run defense, but also you could see him making plays, getting pressure on the quarterback. So again, I think there's guys there, but this pass rush is still broken. Like, this is a pass rush that cannot get out of its way. We finished 29th in sacks, ladies and gentlemen. We finished 31st in pressure rate. That's not needs a tweak type of ordeal. This is a unit that you will absolutely kill you in the playoffs, right? Yeah, they showed up loud and clear against the Rams. When one defense stop couldn't change the entire damn game. Like Nick Scorton, again, I think it's flashed as a rookie. And here's the thing about Nick, right? I think Nick Scorton, again, wasn't some accidental pick. You know, we traded 4 2025 draft picks to move up with Denver and select him at 51. That alone tells you how high he was on their board. Okay? And teams don't make moves like that unless they truly believe and mean it, that they believe in that guy. They believe in Scorton. And I think Scorton backed it up very well. I thought Scorton backed it up very well, right? He didn't look like a project. He looked like an absolute problem. I mean, again, Nick Scorton, ladies and gentlemen, was third among all rookies in sacks. He had 5, behind only Abdul Collar and Jalen Walker. He was third among rookies in total pressures. 31 total pressures, which led the Panthers. He did all of that while ranking only third on the team in pass rush snaps. Listen to that last part, because that last part matters the most, chat. Nick Scorton, he did all of that while ranking only third on the team in pass rush snaps. So he wasn't being force-fed reps. He earned his production. And while sacks grab headlines, Scorton's real value showed up against the run. The run defense is where Scorton really separated himself. This is where Scorton stopped looking like a rookie, because he is a strong, physical, relentless. He played like the run, like a vet who's been in the league for a year. His instincts were sharp. His leverage was clean. And he didn't take plays off, right? So the numbers back it up. And I was looking at some of his numbers. He was 36 in defensive stops. Second among all rookie defensive linemen. Only Mason Graham finished higher, and he was the 4th overall pick. 5th on the Panthers in total stops, and led all Carolina edge rushers in stops. Okay. So that tells me from a rookie standpoint, and looking at this, That kind of all-around impact got him into the starting lineup by midseason. Not because of an injury, not because of a rotation, because he was flat out the most productive guy. Nick Scorton, if Pat Jones doesn't get injured, Nick Scorton will probably take over, and Pat Jones would have shifted to the other side if I would have had to guess. But simply put, Nick Scorton has already Carolina's best edge defender as a rookie. And I think, honestly, if we're being honest about Nick, he outplayed his draft slot. Because you got picked in this as the 51st overall pick. I had a first-round grade on Nick Scorton last year when we did drafts. And he outperformed his draft position. I mean, he played meaningful snaps in big moments. He gave Panthers a legitimate edge setting and pressure that we flat out lacked, right? The only reason more people aren't talking about it is because Tedero McMillan, of course, stole the show because he's a legit absolute problem. And he's a true number one wide receiver. So, but we cannot let this slide and say like Nick Scorton's season was every bit as important to this foundation as well. Right? Appreciate that, Earl. Let me get to some of your comments. Nick Ball will ball out next year if the team gets someone that could rush. Yep. I'm over Wanham. He can go for sure. Wanham, it's like Wanham's like bipolar on the field, man. Like 1 minute he's making a play, he's picking up a strip sack. The next moment he's getting no pressures, nowhere to be found on the field. And it's like what's happening, right? And it's crazy. Wanham coming off that injury last year, and he didn't start till like week 10 of last year, and he had 4 sacks on the season, and he was getting some really good pressure, and he really was starting to shine. But I don't know what happened last year to now. I don't know. What do all playoffs teams have in common? Pass rushers. My edge prefers Jalen Phillips or Defe. You're talking Defe, Awe, or Boy Mafia. Okay. Scorton had a first-round grade on him when we drafted him. Yeah. Not a lot of people had him as a first-round grade, though, Trizzy. I'm curious if this is a kind of 50-50 lack of pass rushers and scheme issues. Kind of hatred. Yeah. It's a little bit. It's a little bit of both. Fact, scouting a good player. Has 5 sacks compared to Brian Burns' rookie of 7.5. I think he outplayed Brian Burns' rookie season. Well, that doesn't really help your case, Amazing K, when you're saying he had 5 sacks compared to Brian Burns' 7.5. So how can you say that Nick Scorton outplayed Brian Burns' rookie season? I think, listen, I'm not taking anything away from Nick Scorton. I'm just curious as to why you think that when you're compared the two, and statistically, it doesn't make sense. So Princely is the one that needs to step up his game. I mean, he's a rookie, and he might. That's the thing. Princely, we don't know. I haven't seen enough of Princely on the field. Right? I haven't seen enough Princely on the field. But one thing's for sure, we got to stop lying to ourselves about this pass rush. Again, Nick Scorton did his thing as a rookie, as I just alluded to. Derek Brown is still a monster, unsaid, but there is no edge rusher on this roster that this offense fears. No offense to Nick Scorton. Like, he did his thing. All right? No guy who wrecks protections and forces quarterback into panic mode. See, that's the problem. See, this is where Dan Morgan can't go into another season pretending that these rotational guys and effort sacks will cut it. They need a legit game-changing edge rusher, period. And that's why I get why Carolina and Panthers Nation and everybody on Twitter and you guys in the comments are asking, are we going to go get Trey Hendrickson? Are we going to get a Max Crosby? I don't know. And can we go get him? That's the question, which we're going to dive into the cap space tonight. But Whether that comes, again, they may do it, whether that's coming from a free agent signing, maybe they make a blockbuster trade, right? Or an aggressive draft move, right? What matters is landing a dude who can take over games when it matters, right? And I think if you can get a guy who can either take over games or get some pressures, then we'll take some pressure off a guy like Nick Scorton, who will then finish the job, right? That's the thing. Carolina got pressures. They didn't get enough pressures, but when they did get pressures, we just didn't finish the job. There was multiple times where I can go watch film and be like, there's a missed sack. There's a missed sack. There's a missed sack. We're just missing guys, right? Again, if we can fix the pass rush this offseason, right, everything else will just come together for this defense. And if you think that you thought Mike Jack and JC Horn looked good this year, I've always been a big believer that an elite pass rush can make an average secondary look good. And even though I thought I'm not saying Mike Jack and JC Horn together as a duo is it's average, but they would look a lot damn better with a very good pass rush. Not just pass rush, one of them bad. Yeah. Big drop off, Wanham or Sanders at tight end. I mean, Sanders didn't have a major drop off. I think Wanham had a more drop off. I thought Sanders was really getting into his own before he got injured. Y'all got to remember, Sanders made some big plays for Bryce Young in some game-winning situations and in some games that we needed to drive down the field and score. I don't know why everybody's on Jadavion Sanders. Like, we're acting like Jadavion Sanders was like a second or third round pick. I know that he had like a second round grade on him, but we didn't pick him till the fourth or fifth round, if I remember correctly. Like, we're talking about a guy who was a fourth or fifth round pick. Y'all got to lay off Jadavion Sanders like he's some first round pick or even a second round pick. You know, Nick Scorton is a better run defense as a rookie that Burns as always mainly a pass rush. Nick was at least a factor stopping the run. Burns struggled. Okay, fair. What about the edge rusher on the Chargers? You're talking about Odefi Awe. We'll talk about him. Burns was known to take plays off when he was out, but Scorton was balling when he got a chance, right? Well, Odefi Awe is a free agent. So unless they re-sign him, then yeah. But if they don't, I think Carolina needs to slide into that guy. You got to slide into Odefi. All right. The next thing you got to do, you need to back up the belief. You need to back up the belief of Bryce Young. All right. Back up we believe in Bryce Young talk. So what I mean by that is we've really saw the growth in Bryce Young this year, right? Career highs, more command at the line, more clutch moments, more confidence when games are on the line. That's what you've been waiting for since the day you drafted him, right? So now comes the dangerous part, right? And this is where you can't screw it up. You cannot let this offensive line collapse, right? I get that Ike Ekwonu's knee injury throws the left tackle situation into chaos. K. Mays, Austin Corbett are both free agents, okay? That's two critical positions suddenly in limbo. You just can't shrug that off. So Carolina, if Dan Morgan in this front office really believe that Bryce Young is their guy, the offensive line has to be treated like a priority, not an afterthought. And that means you locking down a stable center, whether it's re-sign Mays or you bring in a real upgrade like I talked about with Tyler Linderbaum, which we'll talk about him. But putting an actual plan in place at left tackle, whether it's a stopgap veteran, which I've talked about before. We'll talk about some guys that could be some stopgap veteran tonight, or a high-end draft pick, right? I'm not saying you need to use your first-round pick on the left tackle. You might be able to find one maybe in the second or third, right? But again, you need to add some real depth there because one injury doesn't nuke entire the offense, right? You got to add some real depth. Again, Brady Christensen will be coming back. Maybe you look to move him there, and then you just re-sign Josh Nishman, right? And then you bring in some other guys on the roster, right? This isn't about building a sexy offensive line on paper. It's about clean snaps, clean pockets, not asking Bryce to play hero ball behind a busted protection. We've seen that before. Go watch his rookie year. Okay. So if this front office keeps talking about building around Bryce, the offensive line is where that promise has to show up in actual money moves. All right. Now, a lot of people commented on the most recent video when I talked about my top 5 free agents. And I said Tyler Linderbaum, and people were like, well, what about K Mays? A lot of you guys are forgetting K Mays is a free agent. He is not. He is not under contract. So, again, I think you have to re-sign K Mays because I think the chemistry is there with Bryce, and I think he gives Bryce really clean snaps, and I think he did very well at getting, protecting, right? So I wouldn't be mad at an offensive tackle at 19. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it either because if it does make sense, it makes sense. But we'll see. We'll see. Go get Willis from Green Bay and the tackle from the Cards. I know exactly what you're talking about. Not gonna lie. I thought we should have signed Stroud over Bryce. I'm glad we made the right choice seeing how each quarterback played after the first season. CJ has digressed where Bryce has gotten better. Interesting take. Brady will not look great at left tackle last time we tried it. I prefer Linderbaum than K Mays. I would too. But again, it all depends. It all depends. I don't disagree. Linderbaum's better, but if you can't get Linderbaum, you might as well. You got to go with K Mays. You got to go with K Mays. All right, let's look at this. The next thing that this team needs to do, when you look at this defense, right? All right, you look at this defense. Look at Mike Jack down there with a 83.5 grade. Third in the NFL, third to PFF out of all corners. That's wild. We've got another thing we got to do with this defense is we got to put some adults in the middle. Again, this defense, we know it improved. Okay. They went from a historically awful to the middle of the pack. That's progress, real progress. Okay. But let's not bullshit ourselves, chat. Middle of the pack isn't going to be good enough. The middle of the defense is soft. Linebacker plays inconsistent. Safety with Nick Scott is a real problem. Too many runs leaked. Too many crossers came open. Too many late game breakdowns turn into wins into losses. That's not a youth issue, okay? That's an accountability issue, right? The defense doesn't need more potential. It needs more grown-ass professionals who know how to close games, right? So, again, I think you got to add a true, real inside linebacker who can really control the middle and actually punish mistakes, right? I think you got to upgrade the safety, especially the free safety position, with someone who's reliable, disciplined, who's rarely out of position because we all know Nick Scott just for some reason loves to get out of position. Keeping continuity on that defensive line while adding, I think, one more legitimate difference maker. I think a guy like DJ Jones from the Buffalo Bills, who was just over there. I think if you could bring him in, really could make a difference with alongside a guy like Derek Brown. we don't need a full defense teardown. They just need some more stability, some more physicality, some leadership in the spine of that defense, right? That's how you stop blowing fourth quarter leads and you start actually winning ugly games in January. So those are my three biggest things. I think you gotta look at your offensive line, make sure you bring in some guys, right, to help out Bryce, to make sure with Ike Ekwonu out that offensive line just doesn't collapse. This defense needs some a real pass rusher, a difference maker, right, a true playmaker. I think from a also you got to build that defensive line back up, get someone legitimate. Like I said, but also you got to get a real inside linebacker, someone who is a physical, disciplined leader, somebody that really can, really control the middle of the field, really, and punish mistakes. You got to get a guy that can drop back into coverage. You got to get a guy though also that can, rush the quarterback at times, but also could kind of just do it all. You need an overall guy that can kind of just do it all. I'm not saying you need a Luke Kuechly. I would love to have someone like him, but I've said it before. I would love to get a guy like, again, the key word to this sentence is like, Like. A guy like a Bobby Wagner, a guy who can do it all. Okay, I'm not saying get Bobby Wagner, a guy like Bobby Wagner. Whether or maybe they go and get a guy in the draft, a Jacob Rodriguez, for example. I'm a huge Jacob Rodriguez fan, right? We need somebody in that middle. A Devin Lloyd's another one. A Nakobe Dean is another one. Yes, Quay Walker. I like that too. All right. But you got to get somebody up there. DJ Jones would be a great one as well. Hatred, it's Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd is who the guy out of Jacksonville. Jalen Kilgore could be an excellent pro safety. Rock Jones, Kilgore would be nice. Kilgore would be nice. I wouldn't be opposed. I mean, I just don't. I don't know what his draft grade is. I wouldn't be opposed to drafting him. That's for damn sure. I think he would be an upgrade over Nick Scott. Anybody would be at this point, Rock Jones. Anybody would be at this point. All right, let's go over the cap space. Rodriguez is a solid linebacker. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at him. Let's go over the cap. I'm going to go over the cap with the we're going to look at our salary cap. All right. So we're in 2026. I might use Spot Track. Hold on. All right. What can we do here with him? Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, let's talk about the cap space. All right, so we got a lot to talk about with this cap space real quick because again, cap space is major. Okay, if we're going to talk about anything, all right, we actually have some we actually have some flexibility with the cap space this year, which is nice. Okay. We actually have some flexibility there. All right. So for once, Carolina isn't going to be walking into March with duct tape, prayer, and $12 in cap space. All right. We actually have some options here. Okay. The big picture is that we aren't broke anymore. Okay. For years, I know you guys, we've seen the bullshit cycle, bad season, no cap room, forced cuts, cheap signings, repeat. Last offseason, right, was not a bad example, right, at all. Okay. The season before that, the offseason before that was the worst example because we were coming off a 5-12 season, somehow had $400,000 to use cap. That's not bad luck. That was just bad planning. And now it's a different story because thanks to a better financial discipline from Dan Morgan and then cap strategist and Brant Tillis, the Panthers are entering again with this offseason with it's going to be more than what that says right there. It will be, we're at like 28.5 million. All right. Roughly right now we'll have, I think, so that's 17.3 million is what will roll over into 2025. So we'll have over, with everything together, we'll have over 50 million available for before touching a single contract. So that alone is a massive shift from where this franchise what has lived for most of the last decade. So if they want more flexibility, they can actually manufacture it this year. Now, how the Panthers can get to 75 million if they need it. So here's the thing. Carolina, this front office is going to have to make some moves. I'm just telling you right now, don't be surprised if you see some extensions or you see some restructures, because we can't we're not stuck with rigid backloaded contract status. But if they choose to restructure deals for players, for example, Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, Taylor Moton, they can easily free up tens of millions of dollars, okay, or more. But if you put it all together, they could realistically operate with 70 to 75 million in spending power. Is that league leading? No. But teams like the Chargers, the Titans, the Raiders could push $100 million plus. But compared to what we've been put through from cap hell, this is a lot more freedom. All right. Now, why is the cap more manageable, ladies and gentlemen? Why is the cap more manageable? It's manageable for now. The Panthers, we are currently ranked 14th in projected cap space. Actually, I'm going to go back to the over the cap because I think over the cap shows it a little bit better. Oh, well, here's the total cap table. Here we go. All right. Total cap table is right here. Perfect. So when we look at this, the 2025 cap, let's see if it shows me this. So the 2025 cap was, for us, total cap allocations. So the league cap itself is expected to jump up around 279.2 million, I think. This one says 300, but I doubt that. 2026, well, no, 2025, I'm sorry. No, I'm wrong on that. The 2025 cap was to jump to 279.2 million. Whereas the 2026 projected cap is supposed to be to 302 to 305 million. Right? And right now we're currently ranked 14th in projected cap space, and only have around 9 million in dead cap, which is correct. Okay. So, which is nothing in today's NFL. So this rising tide, when we're talking about the projected cap of being $302 to $305 million, okay? When we're talking about that rising tide helps everyone out, including us. More importantly, the Panthers don't have a bunch of contracts exploding at once. The core is expensive, but not catastrophic. See, players making 20 plus million in 2026, okay, are going to be guys like Taylor Moton, Derek Brown, Robert Hunt, J.C. Horn, Tre'von Moehrig, okay? That's a lot of money, but it's going to guys who are cornerstone players. It's not dead weight players, in my opinion, okay? The real financial pressure points, okay? This is where things get tricky. Now, again, the Ike Ekwonu thing is not even, we're not even talking about it now, okay? Because of the injury, right? Right? And that's before, and that's before knowing when he'll return from that ruptured patellar tendon. So that's uncomfortable, but there's just no way around it. Okay. When you go look at Bryce Young, again, 2026 cap hit for Bryce Young is like 12.6 million, which is dirt cheap for a starting quarterback. But his 5th-year option jumps to 26 million in 2027 if he keeps improving. Maybe a long-term deal could hit at the $40 and $50 million annually. That's the elephant in the room, but not today, but soon. See, people think that this whole $26 million is going to hit us now. It's not. See, the cap isn't the problem. The holes are the problem. See, Carolina, we're going to have to spend some money. This isn't complete. They need impact players. They need some depth guys, right? But they also are going to have, but they don't need to take flyers on anybody, okay? While this cap space is healthier, okay? It's not unlimited, okay? I think you do have some major obligations, including a Jalen Coker extension, a Mike Jack extension, re-signing multiple contributors like Cade Mays and others. You got to fill your holes at the left tackle position, inside linebacker, edge rusher, secondary. So that's a lot of mouths to feed. Okay. I think there's a lot of pending free agents that matter if we look at this team. Cade Mays is one, in my opinion. Josh Neesman is one. Christian Roseboom, I think, is one. Brady Christensen is another. Again, Jalen Coker is another. Not all of those guys are coming back. That's the intentional, that we can't expect all these guys to come back. So I think if it's me, right? If we go manage this, we're going to go manage this roster. And this is just my opinion, chat. What I think they need to do. This is what I think they need to do. I think, okay, this is what I think they need to do. I think you need to cut ties with Pat. I think you need to cut. Okay. If you cut him, you'll save around 7.5 million. Okay. All right. So I cut him, which saves that. I hate to say this one, but I'm being honest. I think you need to cut. All right. Oh, wait. I didn't mean to do that. I'm doing release. I'd rather do the oh no, undo. Where did Pat Jones go? Oh, did he? Okay, he got. Hold on, let me reset. Chat. Okay, so Pat Jones, we're gonna release or cut, whatever. Let me see what this does if I do that. Nothing. All right. No, we'll just go ahead and cut. Actually, I have to do this on Over the Cap. This one's not as good. Over the Cap Panthers. Yeah, this is way better. Whoops. Go back to the game. All right. So Pat Jones is the first guy I'm cutting. Pat Jones is the first guy I'm cutting. Because you cut him in post June. Look at this. You save. We'll cut him pre June. Well, dadgum. Same thing. I thought it saved more than that. I'm still cutting him, though. All right, fine. We'll go back to the other one. It's all good. Sorry. All right. I'd rather use this one. I like this one. It's cleaner. All right, so we're going to release Tommy Trimble. See you later. We just saved like 5.2 million with that. And then we're going to release. Where is he at? Pat Jones. All right. You save 5.3 with that. So you're at 27. Then I'm going to cut Andy Dalton. All right. Now, we say probably about 4 million, though he may stay as quarterback insurance. I think then you look to trade Xavier Legette. We'll just do a quick trade. All right. So we traded away Xavier Legette, and maybe you look to trade away Jadavion Sanders. The reason why I say you look to trade these guys, particularly Legette in particular, he feels like he's just a near lock to be moved. The Panthers may only get like a 7th rounder for him, but clearing that salary matters, right? Again, I expect for them to let guys walk like Nick Scott, Christian. They might let Christian Roseboom. They might let guys like Brady Christensen go. But that's addition by subtraction, right? So the quiet advantage from this is that you're trying to get cheap young talent, right? Here's your saving grace with all of this. The Panthers, the thing is Dan Morgan drafts well, ladies and gentlemen. You get McMillan, you're right. You get Coker, Nick Scorton, right? Defensive contributors, rookie contracts across the board. These guys are cheap and locked in for multiple years. That's how you survive the quarterback contract way without drowning. So if Carolina hits again in the draft, the cap situation continues to stay healthy longer than most teams, right? Again, I just feel like Dan Morgan is not going to go out there and just, they're not going to go bargain bending. They're not going to be going on a spending bender in free agency. I think he's going to spend smart. I think he's going to cut decisively. I think he's going to extend the right players. He's not going to mortgage the future, right? Trying to chase something that's just not there, right? And this is an offseason where I feel like Dan Morgan can really have some control of this team and this and this free agency. Right? So I like what we've got going, especially in this cap room. There's going to be a lot of flexibility. What do I think Jalen Coker's extension looks like? I can tell you probably what it looks like. Let me see if I can find him real quick, chat. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Where you at? Where's Jalen Coker at? Is he even on here? Jalen Coker. Hold on, chat. Is he really that cheap right now? There's no way. You're telling me right now that Jalen Coker is not in the top 51 of people getting paid on this team? How much is Jalen Coker making? God dang, he's not even the top 53. Okay, well, let's go look. Let me see if I can find him. Did they not have him on there? Yeah, let me manage this roster real quick. Yo, are you telling me right now that Jalen Coker's not on this list? Am I missing him or something? There's no way he's getting paid that cheap. Let me look him up. Is he really getting paid that cheap? There's just no way. How much does he make? God dang. Maybe he's God. Okay. Interesting. Well, how much is his market value? I guess is the question. Yeah, I was looking at contracts. Can I do There's Jimmy Horn Jr. Christian Rosen and Jalen Coker. Yeah, but I want to. I'm trying to because there's a way on Spot Track that can show you what his contract would look like. So let me go to manage the roster again. Let's see if I can find him. Let me double check if I can find him. There's Xavier Leggett. All right. There's Dan Chesnia. Why are we paying him? Jimmy Horn Jr. Anaya Smith. I can't even do nothing. All right, let me move out the way. Let me just release. Maybe someone else will pop up. No? He's not even going to pop up. All right, well that's fine. Let's go look at over the cap. Maybe I can find a example on over the cap for a contract extension. So let's go to an extension. Okay, so here was what an extension would look like for Jalen Coker, if they will let me show you. To give an example, but it's not letting me. Wow. Oh, fuck. Please move. Wide receiver. Yes, Jalen Coker. There we go. So an extension. So an extension. 1.75 mil. I wonder what. Let me look up something real quick. Because I'm trying to figure out how much an extension really would be for him. All right, Jalen. So based off his performance and based off of what they're saying for Jalen Coker, his extension would be somewhere around, based off of what I'm seeing and then what I just looked up. I mean, for Jalen Coker, and I'm sure I could probably do this on here if I signed up. I'm not about to sign up for this. Okay, so it's 2.7, it's 1.75. Let's do some math here. Based on his performance, though, it's saying that since he's an exclusive rights free agent, right, a contract extension but would look like somewhere around a 3-year deal with projection of a value around 24 million with 15 million guaranteed. So that's what a contract extension would look like. What's up, Sean JY? What's good? What's good? Yeah, so if he gets a 3-year deal with 24 million, I mean, that's $8 million a year. All right. But 15 million guaranteed, right? That's basically $5 million guaranteed every year if he's getting 15 million guaranteed. Which wouldn't be a bad contract knowing that, right? I think because you're rewarding him for performance and you're preventing him from a price from rising further, right? You're a similar early extension given to like Derek Brown or Chuba Hubbard. That's what they did with those type of guys. Again, Coker's is rapidly developing. I think he's a high priority for us to obviously bring back. So, but again, I would say somewhere around for Jalen Coker would be a 3-year deal. Value around 24 million, 15 million guaranteed. That's the way I would look at it. Something like that. Something like that. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. All right. Let's get into some free agents I want to target. Let's get into some free agents I want to target. Free agents. Let's go. All right. Let's start with an edge rusher. All right. And y'all probably have seen my most recent short. I'm going with Odefi Awe. All right. His market value is at 19.3 million per year. So basically, you're looking at a 3-year, $57 million contract with him. All right. So that's what kind of contract details you would be looking at. Number one, the reason why I'm going with the Odefi Awe is this. If we're really serious about fixing this pass rush, Odefi Awe is the type of swing that actually makes sense, right? After being traded to the Chargers in week 6, I said this in that video that he quietly turned into one of the more productive edge rushers in football down that stretch. Because if you go look at his statistics from week 6, okay, from week 6 of this season to week 18, he posted 7.5 sacks, tied for 15th most in the NFL. Despite starting only 2 games while playing behind Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuipulotu. Okay, that matters. The reason why I like Awe, though, is he wins with his length. He's very explosive off the line. Great athleticism that a lot of offensive tackles struggle to deal with. He's not a situational guy, but he's been stuck in a crowded room. He has value, right? Probably jumped even higher, especially after now that he got 3 sacks on Drake May in that playoff game. but a single playoff game record for the franchise as well. Again, he's only 27 years old. He has 0 Pro Bowls, all pro selection, and 0 all pro selection. And that's actually a plus because he hasn't been paid yet. But another team could probably give him around $20 million per year if he hits the open market. I think if we're being smart, that bet's worth making, right? Because you don't need another solid edge rusher. You need someone who forces quarterbacks to speed the hell up. And I think Awe can be that guy in a big role, in a big way, and help out Nick Scorton a lot. Right? I think he's a guy that can really help out Nick Scorton a lot. What's up, Zach? I see you in the chat. Tom Brady 7 rings. What's good, man? What is good? All right, another one I want to look into is, and this is just another guy I want to look into, and this is an inside linebacker I'm very high on. Leo Chanel. Market value is around $4.6 million per year, 3 years at $13 million, $3.9 million contract. Averages around $4.6 million per year. Okay. I like this kid a lot. Again, we know the linebacker room remains a problem, right? Carolina has bodies, but not enough authority in that middle, like we've talked about. Too many runs leak, too many crossers come open. Leo Chanel fixes that immediately. I truly think that. Dang, my TV just turned off. I'm watching I had the dang national championship game. What happened? What are we doing here? You turd sandwiches? We turn my damn game off. There we go. There we go. All right. And so, again, Leo Chanel, I think, would fix that immediately. He's a physical, downhill, very decisive linebacker. He's that kind of linebacker who can actually punish you with your mistakes. Like, you plug him into the middle, and our entire defense is playing faster and cleaner. I think if we want to stop getting gashed between the tackles, this is a guy how you do it in Leo Chanel. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys pound that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you guys click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on new content. Took a little bit of a break this past week, but we're back. So, guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up. But we got 23 people. We've got 33 votes, by the way, on the who's going to win the Natty. All right, but we only have 19 likes. Like, make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. I'm over here bringing content to you guys. Come on now. Make sure you guys pound that like button. Luke, what do you mean by that? Can I do StreamYard today? What do you mean by that? Linebackers, a position group I think we should be addressed in both free agency and the draft. Would not be opposed to that as well, Zach. Would not be opposed to that as well. Are you saying, am I going to open up the phone lines like I consider it? Opening up the phone lines? Is that what you're asking for? All right, another one. Kelvin Beachum. It's another guy that I want to look into. Reason why I say Kelvin Beachum, I know he's 36 years old, but this is where we have to be realistic with ourselves, chat. Again, when you got Ike Ekwonu injury, creating real uncertainty, Carolina doesn't need a franchise left tackle tomorrow. They need someone who can hold the damn line without wrecking games. That's Kelvin Beachum. He's 36. He's not a long-term solution. No one should pretend otherwise. He's competent, okay? He's experienced. He won't require a multi-year deal. This buys us time. He protects Bryce Young. He keeps this offense functional while the Panthers figure out the future with Ike Ekwonu. His market value, you're only going to sign him for $1.9 million probably. Okay. All right. At most, maybe $4 million. Okay. The catch here is this: he'll have interest around the league, but he isn't exactly a ring chaser. All right. He's that's not what he's looking for. I think he's a guy that if we wanted to go get him, okay, they'll need to sell the vision and probably move fast. As a stopgap, though, Beecham makes a ton of sense. He's just a stopgap guy. Luke, am I going to do that tonight? No. We will probably not do that tonight. But we will we'll do some more shows like that. I promise, Luke. I am preparing a major live stream for all the giveaways that I promise you guys. So we're gonna do a hat giveaway. I was thinking about doing maybe a shirt giveaway, a jersey giveaway. Who knows? Maybe I'll do the Panthers Nike shoes giveaway. We gotta do a giveaway. We're gonna do some giveaways though. Earl Locklear says, "Get them likes up." Absolutely, y'all should do that. All right, the next one is this: Tyler Linderbaum. All right, Tyler Linderbaum. Okay, now I get it. We're talking about a guy. If center hits the open market and Tyler Linderbaum is actually available, Carolina should sprint to the table. Now I get it. K Mays, Austin Corbett, both free agents. I think Austin Corbett, they'll let him go. I think Carolina should try to get K Mays. I do truly believe that. But again, you need stability at center. It's non-negotiable. Bryce Young needs consistency. He needs clean snaps. He needs someone who can man protections without confusion. I think K Mays or Linderbaum can do that. But there's a difference with Linderbaum over Cade Mays. Linderbaum has an elite football IQ. He is a consistent pass protector. He's got high-end movement skills. He immediately is brings leadership up front, right? Market value as well. $17.7 million per year, 4 years, $70 million. Again, that's a big contract. He's also ranked the number 1 center in the NFL, but that's for a reason, right? This would be a real investment, though. This is not a bargain signing, but it's the exact type of move that helps a quarterback like Bryce level up instead of just survive. I think if you are serious about building around Bryce, this is the kind of move that actually backs it up. Now, again, I'm not saying if they go out and sign Cade Mays and not Linderbaum that they're still not trying to build around Bryce. I'm not saying that. I do think that what they're doing, if they do sign Cade Mays, it still makes me believe that they're trying to keep at least our offensive line and the continuity of the offensive line together as much as possible without Ike Ekwonu, of course. Right. You know what I mean? What if we re-sign Rasheed Walker from Green Bay instead of extending Ike Ekwonu? I mean, I don't know if they'll do that. I mean, it could be a move that they look at. I mean, Rasheed Walker wouldn't be a bad move. I mean, we could look up his market value. Let's see what his market value is. He's only 25 years old. Is he a free agent though? Damn, he was a 7th round pick. Wow. Wow. Rasheed Walker. Is he a free agent though? Is the question, Amazing K. I don't know if he's a free agent. Let me go look if he's a free agent left tackle. Oh yeah, he is. He is a free agent. Wow. Could be. it could be a move that they look at. All right, my last guy that I want them to go after. All right, Reed Blankenship at safety. I want them to go after Reed Blankenship. Safety still flies under the radar, but Reed Blankenship is exactly the kind of player winning teams need. Again, he is not the flashiest guy in the world, but he's a well-disciplined, reliable in coverage, physical in the run, rarely out of position. Those traits matter when you're trying to close games, all right? Right? Not just hanging around. Blankenship wouldn't change the defense overnight, but he would make it smart, steadier, hard to exploit late. I think that based off of all these guys that I mentioned, man, like all those guys that I mentioned, Alway gives them real juice at the pass rushing position. You get Beecham, buys them time at left tackle. Chanel adds physicality. Linderbaum, if they go with him or try to go after him, stabilizes this offense, especially the offensive line. And then Blankenship tightens up that back end. Again, if you can land even 2 or 3 of these names that I mentioned, this team levels up, right? That's the difference between a nice season and nobody wants to see us in January, right? So I think that's just me. Those are my guys right now. I mean, that could change, all right? But right now, those are my top 5 guys. And again, we could go based off my top. We could probably do, those are just my top 5 guys right now for those position groups. Those are my number 1 guys. All right. But we could go through the free agency maybe another day, and I'll give you my top 5 free agent edge rushers, my top 5 linebackers, my top 5 centers, my top 5 left tackles, my top 5 safeties, and we'll go through those maybe one day, okay? But then we also got to talk about the draft. All right, the draft it's still those position groups. I've already got 3 guys I'm looking at in the draft. I'll go ahead and tell you the guys I'm already looking at. I'm looking at Cassius Howell, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. I'm looking at Sony Styles, the linebacker, Ohio State, and I'm looking at Kenyon Sadiq. That's just first round. Okay, these are all these guys are first round draft picks. Okay. These are guys that are first round draft picks. Okay. These are not, guys I'm looking at in the second round, third round. These are my top 3 guys in the first round. How about Deebo Samuel? It depends, man. Like, I like it from what he could bring to this offense and how he could really help us out, especially in the slot, but also punt return, kick return. That's something he brings to the table. I wouldn't be opposed to it, right? I like Alex Pierce. I'm actually a big fan of Alex Pierce. That's some of the free agent guys that I was looking at as well. But there's also guys on this team that we need to look to re-sign. Like, I think you need to look at re-signing Josh Nishman. I think some guys you need to re-sign are Cade Mays. I think some guys you need to re-sign is Brady Christensen, Sam Martin, Isaiah Simmons. There's some guys on this team that I think we need to bring back. So, but Deebo Samuel, again, the price will have to be right to get Deebo here. But I would like what he brings from a reliable standpoint, a trick play standpoint. But I do like Alex Pierce. I'm a huge I think Alex Pierce is someone that Bryce Young needs to a real field stretcher, right? I think Tedero McMillan is the guy, but that part is settled, right? But beyond that, Carolina's receivers still lacks a true downfield threat who scares defenses. I think maybe Jimmy Horde Jr. could do that. Again, it just depends on how they use it. But then that's also thinks that and again, this is something we're going to talk about is what Dave Canales needs, what did well this past season, when he needs to prove on. I also think we need to have a conversation about him bringing in a true offensive coordinator, right? Again, I think Jalen Coker's fine, but he's not. Again, I think he can be a true number one wide receiver. Are we going to say right now he is? We'll see. But I think this is the thing. Jalen Coker is not the type of number two receiver that changes coverages or opens up the field for everyone else. Coker is a reliable. He's Mr. Reliable is what he is. But that's where Alex Pierce would come in, right? Alex Pierce took a huge leap this season. He finished with over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's had 13 total touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. 21.3 yards per catch in 2025, 22.3 yards per catch in 2024. So that's not a fluke. That's a consistent deep threat, man. You're talking about a guy who's 6'3", 211, gives Carolina some size, vertical juice, something Bryce Young desperately needs. Bryce Young this year averaged 6.3 yards per attempt. That's one of the worst marks in the league. Defenses squatted on routes because they didn't fear getting burned over the top. See, Alex Pierce fixes that instantly, and the Colts know it. I think their GM Chris Ballard didn't hide on how they feel, right? Head coach Shane Steichen has echoed it as well. I've heard that as well. So if Pierce actually hits the market, that's a guy that Carolina could be all over. He'd open lanes for McMillan. He'd help the run game. And I think he could also help make Bryce Young's life a little bit easier as well. What he brings to the table. Pierce is too expensive. Let's go look his market value. Over the cap. Not over the cap. Spot track. Alex Pierce. Probably spelled that wrong. Sure did. But that's okay. All right, chat. Let's share the screen real quick. All right. Exit out of that. Market value. Let's see how much his market value is, chat. Wow, 20.2 million per year. Fuck. Okay. 4 years, 80 million. God dang, boy. He did go up. Yeah, that might be a push. I think Devin Lloyd should be priority number one. I listen, I'm not opposed to Devin Lloyd, man. I'm not. I like Devin Lloyd too. I like him and Leo Chanel. Market value for Devin Lloyd's $20 million as well. 3 years, $60.4 million is what he would be looking at. Again, I think Devin Lloyd is a first-round talent that looks like one. Finally, looks like one. Linebacker play quietly hurt, right? Linebacker play was pretty. We know that it was bad for us, but Claudin Churlis held his own, filling in for Tre'von Wallace. But Dave Canales even praised Churlis for his aggression and preparation. But again, yeah, Devin Lloyd for sure. Let's be honest. You enter Devin Lloyd, and you're talking about a guy who put together a great season, over 81 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Let's go look at his statistics. Yep. I think he also had 14 quarterback pressures. He had 7 passes defended, 5 interceptions. That's an impact on every level, right? I mean, we need exactly that mentality as well. You add Lloyd next to the right pieces, and suddenly this defense isn't just surviving, it's attacking. The coverage improves, the turnovers increase, the middle of the field stops being a liability. I think it's the same thing with Leo Chanel. I think if you re-sign Christian Roseboom, and you had Christian Roseboom, I think if you re-sign Isaiah Simmons would be smart as well. Then you have Christian Roseboom, Isaiah Simmons, Devin Lloyd, and Tre'von Wallace. You have a solid linebacker room to work with. And you got depth. as well. Look for Debo's value. Let's look up Debo Samuel's value since you brought it up. So another thing with Debo I do like is he could be a nice gadget player that I think, honestly, how Dave Canales runs that offense would complement very well. But again, so Debo Samuel market value is 19 million per year. So you would look at like a 3-year, $59.3 million. I mean, it's kind of what Christian Kirk, these guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Jameson Williams, Jared Judy, the kind of guys that are getting paid that much. That's his market value right there, though. Amazing K. And listen, man, we're going to talk more about some of these. We're going to be talking more about some. We'll talk more about some free agents. Okay, there's other free agents we're going to look out there. I was just giving you my early top 5 right now. We'll definitely go through different position groups, and if you guys join the Discord, go ahead, join the Discord. Tell me draft prospects you want me to look at. Tell me what free agents you want me to break down. Join the Discord. All right. If anybody's in here that is in the Discord, make sure you put it in the chat so people can join it. That's the best way you can contact me directly as well. You can contact me there directly. And we can. I always like shooting the shit with everybody in there as well. So it's a great group to be a part of. Actually, I'll go ahead. I don't know if anybody's in here that has the Discord, but I'll go ahead and invite you guys to it if you guys want to come in. And if there is, again, if there is a free agent or a draft prospect or whatever you want me to break down, let me know. All right, we're going to copy. And right there is the Discord link. So if anybody wants to get in, join the Discord. It's right there. It's free. I don't charge anybody to join the Discord, just as long as you come in, be respectful, and all that stuff. That's all that matters to me. Okay. All right, guys. Well, we talked about a lot of stuff. Talked about the cap space. Talked to you about my top 5 agents, my top 3 things that the Carolina Panthers need to do this offseason. That is going to wrap it up for this episode of Roppstar Report. I appreciate all you guys joining. The next episode, maybe we'll talk about some draft prospects, but definitely going to talk about Dave Canales. I want to talk about Dave Canales, how well he did this year, what he needs to improve in, and then also talk about what could he possibly be bringing in an offensive coordinator to really help him out, right? And someone who can really call plays. We'll discuss that as well. Maybe we'll talk about some draft prospects because I've already got 3. So, again, appreciate you guys. Again, as always, make sure you pound that like button. It's very simple. It's right there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you join the Discord like I posted up here in the chat. It is for free. Become a member today. It's less than a cup of coffee from Starbucks, as well as also make sure you check the shorts out, man. I'm constantly posting up shorts, so make sure you guys go check it out. Other than that, guys, I will see you guys possibly tomorrow. All right. As long if the NFC, I don't know if the NFC South Roundtable is going to be live tomorrow. I will let you guys know. Other than that, guys, as always, y'all know what to do. I'm out of here. Peace. Keep pounding.